Dan Larson here at the Photobooth with the top 10 of 2021 so far, part 2. We do this every quarter, so end of March, end of June, that's this one, end of September, and then the big year-end final top 10 at the end of December. Here's the rules for how the figures are selected. Number 1, the figures had to be released in 2021, not just purchased in 2021. There is some wiggle room for figures that were released so late in the previous year that they couldn't be included in that year's top 10, or figures that were intended to be released early in the year but got out earlier than expected. Number 2, to be eligible for inclusion, I had to purchase it. If I didn't like it enough to buy it, that guarantees it does not qualify. That said, it's only the middle of the year, so there's still plenty of time for me to add things to the list that have been released that I have not yet purchased. Number 3, sometimes I get things provided to me by manufacturers as samples or by generous people who just wanted to send something in. Those figures are still eligible if I had intended to buy that figure anyway. Lastly, of course, my list, my rules. I reserve the right to change the rules or any of my picks for any reason. Getting bounced today does not mean that a figure can't make the final top 10 at the end of the year. I do this by rapid elimination. I'm just going to start pulling out figures that aren't in the top 10. There is no order to those eliminations, so don't read anything into a character that gets pulled in the 30 spot versus 29. There's like 80 figures here, so almost all of them are getting eliminated regardless. Quick recap of where the top 10 currently stands after the first video. You might want to go back and check that out if you haven't watched it already. I believe in the 10 spot was Obsidian Surf from Marvel Legends. Number 9 was Zartan. 8 was the Bat Bike from McFarlane Toys. 7 was the blue Mandarin Spawn, also from McFarlane. 10, 9, 8, 7. 6 was Megatron. 5 was the Panther. 4 is the boss fight Zartan. 3 is Mass Effect Superman. 2 is Transformers Hot Rod. And then number 1 was Goyle from the Kickstarter that ran last year for Plunderlings. I did get my Kickstarter rewards in this year, 2021, so I count that as a 2021 release. When it comes to Kickstarters, there's a couple other examples like that in this booth, in the things that I've purchased. Kickstarters from several years ago that got fulfilled this year, so I count those as this year release. And Goyle here is standing in for any of the Plunderlings that were released. I did have some samples provided to me, but I'm just going to have Goyle here representing all of the pieces that I got. So I'm going to move these 10 figures out of the way since they are already technically ranking in the top 10. I'm going to eliminate a bunch of the stuff that's still in the booth, and then we'll bring these 10 back in to see if they make the final cut. And then this is the rest of the field, everything minus those top 10 figures, all stuff that I've purchased or received that was released this year in 2021, and time to make some decisions. It's hard, but here we go. Just gonna start pulling them out. It's how it goes every time I have to do this. This is where it's really starting to get hard. When we get down to, when we get down to stuff like this, it's like, I'm trying to make choices between, like, I don't really love this character or anything, but it's a really fantastic figure. You know, the McFarlane Kickstarter Spawn, fantastic figure, great, version of Spawn, the anniversary, all that stuff. Just the spectacle of the whole thing. You know, I did want to chime in here for a second and say that in the last video, or at some point I think on my Instagram, I did say that the NECA Defenders of the Earth figures, Flash, Ming, and Phantom here, were automatically disqualified from the top 10 of the year because I was so frustrated with the ability to acquire the figures for a lot of people. Just the distribution had been poor. And then the amount of work that I personally and a lot of other collectors had to do just to make these figures usable, to loosen up the joints, heat them, work the joint, all these other things. I changed my mind. They're really nice figures. And distribution did get better. I've seen them multiple times on shelves now. So anybody that wanted to get those figures, hopefully now has been able to acquire those three. And the paint, the sticking joints, at this point, that's just NECA. And if you don't like it, then don't buy NECA stuff. It is what it is. So they're really great figures. And I don't want to not... I would hate to have to not include them. Ming's cloth cape, Flash is cool, Phantom's cool, so whatever. I'm stalling. Firestar's tough. Like, a childhood nostalgia sort of character finally hitting the line. Iceman, Spider-Man, and Firestar. It's like, how much does that weigh into her being a top 10 figure of me for the year? It's so hard to say. It's really hard to say. Unique things like Plunderlings. These two fawns came out later after the Kickstarter, and they're just so unique and fresh. Lone Coconut, the guys, the team that worked on these are just putting out something that is absolutely brilliant. But how does that weigh against Boba Fett and Flint and Spawn? God, it's so hard to make the choices. But that's what we're here for. That's what we're doing. That's what I'm gonna do. So let's do it. All right, I'm gonna bring in the other 10 figures now. Anybody that knows me, anybody who's been following the channel, especially these videos, top 10 videos, for any amount of time, you're pretty familiar with the things that I like at this point. Obviously a big Boba Fett fan, obviously a translucent figure fan, pilots, flight suits, robots, Star Wars, whatever. So it is hard to continually play those notes, in terms of the choices I make, but at the same time, that's why I collect action figures, because those are the things I like, and each year they get newer, nicer versions of those characters that I love. The reasons I'm even in this business keep getting made, so it's hard not to want to include them every time they get released. Every time some new innovation or new engineering is thrown into the mix. And then when you see the efforts of, like I said, indie places, whether it's Boss Fight Studios or Plunderlings, Lone Coconut, or just any of this stuff, it's taking risks on things like an articulated panther by Hasbro, whatever. Like, it's hard to weigh those things into what the overall likes are. Okay, there's still way too many figures here. That's stalling again. So let's make some hard decisions. Let's make some cuts. And get this thing narrowed down right now. Yes, also the bike, for you who don't know, the bike is counting as a character this year. There's so much charisma, so much character in the bike itself that I couldn't not include it. And then I did eliminate Drizzt, whatever his name is, but kept Gwynvar here, the Panther, in. I considered those two separate characters, even though they did come together. If you think those hurt, I don't know what to tell you. They hurt. It's hard. I can't keep 2 Mandarin spawns in the booth. I can't do that. I can't have 2 in the top 10. That's ridiculous. It's hard because I love both of these designs. They're both really cool. And they're so similar, it's really just about like, well, which color do I like more? You know, it's like I worry too much about trying to make it a diverse field with respect to like mainstream manufacturers and indie manufacturers and, you know, Marvel, DC, you know, McFarlane, you know, Star Wars, like G.I. Joe, instead of just saying like what I'm supposed to be doing, what this is supposed to be all about is what are my favorite 10 figures. Just do it. Be who you are, like what you like, make no excuses. That's how it goes. So, here we are. 1, 2, 3. Let's see if there's probably only 10 left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. All right, so 3 gotta go. 3 gotta go. Let's go. 3 gotta go. 3 gotta go. And they are... So the reality is I could probably live without this Superman figure. It's a really, really nice figure, but it's not even currently my favorite Superman in my collection. Again, this could change. This will probably change by the end of the year. For now, for this, I think I actually have to pull this Boba Fett. And I'm gonna is using it as an excuse. I'm gonna say that I don't even have the original as released figure. I replaced his plastic cape, his rubbery cape, with a custom cape. So that's technically modified. I'm just looking for any excuse here. Flint, I don't even know that that's necessarily like the best figure, but I'm partial to Flint. And if only a handful of characters were gonna get made from that line, I'm really psyched. I'm really, really glad that Flint got in. And I'm probably suffering from a little bit of what's newest in my collection, even though I really like this figure, as far as the plastic treatment and stuff. And I'm also, there's 2 things that are happening right now. 1, I just got this figure today. 2, it's really adding some pop of color to everything that's out here. Like, everything's so sort of, drab and gray and dark and whatever. And then it's like, bam, 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 the 3 of these guys just popping all over the place here. It's gorgeous. Bo-Katan, just a gorgeous, gorgeous figure. Somebody's got to go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. One more is one more. We got to get rid of one more here. Who's gonna go for this round? Unfortunately, it has to be... Why is that skeleton motorcycle so cool? God. All right. It is... I'm gonna... Oh. Look at the personality on this guy. What a fun face. I'm gonna bring it down a little closer here so you can see what I'm talking about. All right. One more figure's got to go. So... All right, I wish I could say that I'm doing this for effect, but I'm absolutely not doing it for effect. I'm honestly just absolutely torn by what I want to eliminate here. And it's, ugh. Can I just do 11? I said I was gonna break the rules anyway. All right, it's Flint. Flint, you're out. Here's where we're going. It's tough. You know, G.I. Joe is back and big and all that stuff. The frustrations of trying to get the line, blah, blah, blah. Hopefully the distribution has worked itself out. But this is what I'm going with for now. And I already regret it. I'm gonna absolutely regret it later. And that's why I'm super psyched that I've still got 2 more chances to get this right for later in the year. But what we need to do is line these figures up and make the top 10. Here we go. At number 10. Right on the edge here is gonna be Hologram Iron Man. Number 9 is going to be... Number 9 is going to be... You know, I was about to pull this JoyToy Spear Trooper, so that probably makes that number 9. Bat Bike is going to be number 8. Zorro, who keeps losing his hat, is going to go 7. Hang on, Zorro. Good there. 6 is going to be... 6 is going to be Mandarin Spawn. 5 is Panther. 4 is Bo-Katan. 4 is Hot Rod. 4 is Bo-Katan. 3 is Hot Rod. 2 is Goyle. And number 1 is going to be Vintage Collection Boba Fett. Easily the best, other than the vintage, obviously, the best 4-inch, the squaring job, framing job I'm doing here, this is terrible. Easily the best 4-inch Boba Fett figure since the original, in my opinion, of course. That's it. That's what we're gonna go with. Call it. I'm gonna start immediately working on the next top 10 for the end of September. But that's it. That's top 10 so far. There's so many figures here that I couldn't really take my time to say, you know, like why I was eliminating each one or even necessarily to identify each one. I didn't want to make this an hour-long video. If you have any specific questions, please let me know in the comments down below. I'm happy to answer. Thank you for watching this and all of our videos. Hit like, hit subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. Head over to regular Toy Galaxy and subscribe there if you're not already. If you haven't heard, we started streaming on Twitch. Find us twice a week at twitch.tv/toygalaxy. If you're in the position to help the channel grow, please visit our Patreon at patreon.com/toygalaxy or become a channel member. Thanks for watching. Later.